Que en este caso, pues... mm, bueno, viene Pedro Camacho. Viene Pedro Camacho, así que... a ver qué tal. Falta poquito. 2 minutos. Y ahí se cuece. Bueno, está por empezar esto. Buenas gordacos, por cierto.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live. Let's talk about Pedro. I'm your host this week and most weeks. Community. No, what's my? I literally forgot my title now. I've had so many titles. Creative Content Lead Jared Huckabee, and joining us on the show. It's a good start already. Immediately to my left here, a man who probably needs no introduction, but we're gonna do it anyway. This is composer for Star Citizen, Mr. Pedro Camacho. Pedro, how you doing, man?
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. Not sure if I'm deserve it, but yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you. And how are you, Jared?
I'm all right. You want a better intro? I can do a better intro. Hold on, let's see.
Yes.
Because hold on. Let's see. I don't have a drum roll or anything. Our guest this week on Star Citizen Live, composer extraordinaire,
Extraordinary. Yeah, right.
the
Yeah.
soul of ArtCorp, the heart of Lorville, the spirit of Microtech, Pedro Camacho.
Están de
This is live.
cachondeo de coña ahí
It is live.
presentando
We're
a Pedro y
live.
tal.
I'm
Jesus
wasting time
Christ.
right now.
Oh
I'm
my
wasting time
goodness.
right now.
Oh, now I'll lose all credibility now. To think, what the hell is this guy doing? Is this guy doing music? I thought
Sorry.
he would be more like white beard, like Gandalf or John Williams or something. Not yet, not
Those
yet.
those are the two options: a white beard like Gandalf, or John Williams. That's how you know you're talking to a composer right now, because
Yeah,
it's like
that's
it's like who are the wisest people I know? Gandalf and John Williams.
I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd, and I like music. That's it.
I'm
So it
with you.
has.
So
Anyway.
if you've
Madre
never
mía.
seen Star Citizen Live before,
¿Cómo sabes que alguien es un buen compositor? Porque lleva una barba blanca, ¿no? Y dice, solo conozco a dos personas sabias, John Williams y Gandalf. Están de cachondeo.
no Pedro. Some folks who have been following the project
Dice que algún día Pedro se dejará también esa barba tipo Gandalf o John Williams.
with Pedro on it in the past. I had our data solutions guys run some numbers, like how many brand new Star Citizens have joined the project since the last time we had Pedro on, and it was like 1.1 million citizens since have joined the project since Pedro was last on. So, some of you old timers, maybe some of this is going to be familiar, maybe some of this is going to be old hat, but you know.
Bueno, desde la última vez que estuvo Pedro, que parece que fue ayer, pero un paso tiempo, se han unido 1.100.000 ciudadanos nuevos al proyecto.
Yeah. Don't kill me. That's not a good idea. But anyway, thank you very much. My name is Pedro, and yes, I've been doing music for Star Citizens for quite some time now. It's been huge pleasure. It's a wonderful game. I love the game. I love the ideas on the game. I love the art in the game. I love the audio in the game. I love the community manager in the game. Who knows whoever knew that would happen. Sorry, I really like. He's a very, very kind person, and above all, I really like. To be honest, I never experienced, and I kind of feel a bit shy or something. Don't feel 100% comfortable with. By the community. The community is awesomely kind to me, and I think to everyone, but to me, I've experienced quite a lot of kindness and a lot of great words. And I don't know if if the credit is due just to me in many of them, or if I'm not sure if I that important as sometimes it seems the words appear to be, but I'm grateful to have you supporting the project and to
Está diciendo que lleva trabajando en el proyecto y que está muy contento de trabajar en un proyecto como este, con la comunidad que tiene, y que la gente es muy amable con él en general, la comunidad, con las palabras que tiene para describir su trabajo, que está muy, muy agradecido en general, ¿no? Y que considera que eh, especialmente pues tiene un trato pues muy especialmente amable con él, ¿no? En general, la gente, a través del Spectrum y demás.
2012.
Yeah, it was from 2012.
Tell me how you came to Star Citizen.
Yeah, I can tell you, it was just wonderful. It was. I was still not a father, and my kid. I was going to the echo with my wife, to hear the first heartbeat of my son. That was the first time. It was still October 2012. And I remember that I went there, which I was curious.
Pues está describiendo cómo empezó a llegar o sea, cómo llegó a Club Imperium Games. Y bueno, los que ya conocéis a Pedro ya sabéis que bueno, cuando estaba haciendo la canción de, bueno, creo que era la de Majestic of Space, que no está comentando ahora mismo, ¿no? Pero al final, en 2012 fue cuando empezó a hablar con Cloud Imperium Games para conseguir su trabajo, y el trabajo que tiene ahora con Robo Space Industries. Bueno, y que pues que recuerda que estaba haciendo, pues eso, su mujer todavía se estaba haciendo una ecografía para dar a luz a su hijo, ¿no? Todavía no había tenido a su criatura.
And it was curious then when I myself was going to become a father, I felt that I should, email Chris Roberts to say hello, something like that. I don't know what I wrote. There's no good words. It's just a bit of a luck and whatever happens. And for some reason, I wrote him an email. It was very short. It was, hi, my name is Pedro, and I really liked what I saw about. So, there was just a couple of the images on the internet on Kickstarter's page as well. And I would love to pitch for your project. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Claro, vio unas cuantas imágenes del proyecto de Chris Roberts, vio lo que le gustaba y pues al final pues escribió a le escribió a Chris Roberts para postularse como compositor, supongo.
Yeah, I took
Y efectivamente dice que tomó su oportunidad, vio una oportunidad ahí y bueno, tuvo suerte, dice, ¿no? Y consiguió el trabajo.
concert piece premiered. So, and it was a beautiful footage of the orchestra with the choir, was a Requiem in Escastro, which I wrote early in 2011, and it was premiered in 2012, early 2012. So I showed him that, which was, I think he also enjoyed that. So that helped as well. And so the journey started there. And it's curious that even though my task was to write what would become the main theme for Star Citizen, that many of you must have heard by now, and it's curious that I think that was my first real task, because up until that time I was just making some pieces that weren't being shown to anyone but the internal team. Was when the first 300i commercial came up. I really liked it. I remember it was me, Hannes Appel, the cinematic director, and Chris Roberts, and sound design, and the music was to be done 1 week before my kid was going to be born. So it was very emotional. I literally finished writing that cue and sent, and then I became a father. So I think the Stars in Journey started in a very special moment in my life. So
Claro, está comentando de que...
I mean, it became even more special, maybe.
Está comentando de que su viaje, sus andaduras con Star Citizen empezaron en un momento muy importante de su vida, pues la composición musical que hizo pues coincidió con el nacimiento de su hijo, ¿no? Lo que os comentaba antes. Entonces lo hace algo pues muy especial para él, ¿no? Lo que es y muchos sentimientos tiene, ¿no? Encontrados con el tema de... O sea, encontrados no, o sea, hay muchos sentimientos que acompañan, ¿no? A lo que es su trayectoria en Star Citizen como compositor y pues también como padre.
Because of me, perhaps. The commercial was quite successful. The funding in the game increased a lot after that commercial, and then other commercials came after that. And I think it's been the project grew into something much larger and much more fantastic, in my opinion, than I initially imagined it will be. So it's been, an honor to be with you. And I have to say this before ending this long conversation. After seeing people that after all these years still, after each track that I've been making, some people at least say, "Oh, this is my new favorite track" or something. It feels good, because it gives me a pressure that I don't want to give the feeling that each track that comes feels like, like something generic or something. I really try hard, and I really...
Claro, dice que después de tanto tiempo hay una cosa que tiene que decir, y que es que le encanta ver como que hay gente que dice que de su música, ¿no? Que dice, bueno, pues esta es mi nueva pista favorita de audio, ¿no? Tal. Y dice que trata de nunca rendirse para que su música precisamente no sea algo genérico, ¿no? O sea, se le ocurra, ¿no? Para que su música sea algo más que simplemente algo genérico, ¿no?
You started. I know the first thing that went out that people heard was the 300 series commercial. Is that the first piece of music you actually wrote for Star Citizen, or did you start with that main theme first?
Yeah, I started with the main theme. That was the first track I wrote, still in MIDI, but that was the first one. And then it went on, and it was eventually played in 2013 by with an orchestra, recorded with an orchestra, along with other pieces.
Hmm.
And I think, yeah, still some of the best music I wrote
Uh,
is there. I think
what was the name of that track? It's not Star Citizen main theme. What was the name of that track? Is it main theme?
it is starts in the main themes on YouTube. Is If you write that, at least it will come up. I never found there was a I did write other themes for Sarsin a bit later on, which I gave some names, so
Hmm.
we would know. One of the one I enjoyed a lot, and I think Jared also enjoyed, was a homage to the 80s sci-fi, which we called it Arena Commander theme.
Hmm.
You remember? I think that was very cool as well. I love that one. Felt it gave me. I went back to my roots as I mean, all the movies that I saw that really inspired me as a kid, and probably Chris Roberts as well. Star Wars, The Last Starfighter, which was a great movie as well. I really loved that one because I also loved games. I've always been a gamer, and what else? Star Trek a bit as well, but more Star Wars, Last Starfighter. Well, those movies were very influential for me. Star Wars, yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
You don't hear any Last Starfighter at all in the Arena Commander
No, no, you
theme.
don't.
No
I don't think
influence at
so.
all.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember the music from Last Starfighter, at least. But probably there is here or there some. But I thought when I did.
Claro, está comentando que tiene mucha influencia sobre Star Wars y también sobre Superman y otras. eh, pero que no es de influencia directa, sino que es el tono, el humor. Bueno, digo el humor. Es que no quería cortaros la música que está poniendo Descolando. Pero bueno, está comentando un poco de que la primera canción que hizo fue el tema principal y luego que también disfrutó mucho el Arena Commander Theme, que bueno, ambos los podéis encontrar en YouTube si los buscáis. Luego al acabar el directo os puedo pasar enlaces de la música de Pedro. Y la verdad es que pues sí que es cierto que son la hostia, ¿no?
For a space game,
Oh,
so people think Star Wars, Star Trek, Last Starfighter,
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But what influences do you have that people might not expect?
Okay.
¿Qué influencias puedes tener que la gente pueda esperar aparte de Star Wars, Star Trek?
If any of you ever played games on Amiga, but I that was a very fond memory I had with my father. Yeah, sorry, I mentioned my father. I mean, it's been quite a long time, but he was a music fan, he was a game fan, he was a sci-fi fan, like a nerd. But he never composed or played anything, but his passion passed on through me. But I studied and I was able to execute what he loved, and he loved Amiga. We played together so many hours of Amiga games, Commodore Amiga, and I mean, there are a couple great stuff from that time. For example, Shadows of the Beast. That's something that comes out of my mind right now. It was an amazing soundtrack at the time. You have to see there were limitations on Commodore Amiga, but it was quite astounding for the time that we were living in.
Hmm.
And actually, it was in Amiga as well that I started writing music. I wrote my first track was written on Amiga, and my father was able to hear the first track only in his life. And I remember a reference that I actually used in Star Citizen, which I really loved, was a game was called Chaos Engine, which was a beautiful shoot 'em up game with two characters at the same time. We could play with two players. I used to play that also with my father and with friends. And there was something there that when you fired up a node, it would say like node activated, something like that, with a very particular tone and character in the voice. So when I did the music for the first racing module on Star Citizen, I called it speed activated, and that was the name of the track. And the music, when you get to the climatic part in the start, before the music starts with the kick, and I actually tried to pronounce that sequence, but said speed activated, and you can hear me saying that, but I EQ'd it a lot so it would sound like from the game, from Chaos Engine. So I think that's a very, and always I like to bring it into every piece.
Creo que no me acuerdo ahora mismo del nombre del juego, ¿no? Pero está hablando de que una de sus influencias que, bueno, le preguntando que no que la gente no pueda conocer es que él, pues su padre era bastante fan de la ciencia ficción y de la música en su momento, y la inspiración, pues, que tenía, o sea, la pasión que tenía su padre por la música y la ciencia ficción pasó a él, ¿no? Y recuerda, pues, jugar con su padre al Commodore Amiga, una consola bastante antigua, si no la conocéis. Y comentaba de que uno de los juegos que disfrutaba mucho la música, que para aquel entonces era una música increíble, para el tiempo que está viendo, que era un juego llamado Chaos Ascending, y que tenía pues una parte del juego, ¿no? En el que se activaba un nodo que sonaba la voz de Node Activation, ¿no? O Node Activated, nodo activado, ¿no? Y que eso pues lo trasladó a la Arena Commander en las carreras para la banda sonora cuando dice Speed Activated, que dice que precisamente pues eso que dice de Speed Activated y luego empieza la música es su voz modificada.
Cool. So I always try in the music I did to not always but many times create some patterns on melodies or rhythms that have a meaning on math as well. I can remember the Arcorp theme that I wrote. The music, I noted down the upward intervals in the melody, and the sum of the first two, which are prime numbers, gives a second number, which is also a prime number. So I want to, since Arcorp was such a perfect city, it's like mathematically perfect city that fills the globe with construction, and it requires a lot of engineering to merge all this stuff together. Sorry.
Está diciendo que la música de Hardcore también la basó en números primos matemáticos, pues a la hora de componer, pues para reflejar esa perfección matemática en la música, debido a que Hardcore pues es una ciudad que tiene que ver con esa ingeniería, ¿no? Con pues todo un planeta ciudad y demás.
Something just so, because that was a very thing, no one will ever get that one if I didn't explain it, because I think it was too nerdy, but I enjoy doing that. And so there's some strange references perhaps.
Let's go ahead and jump into some of the questions that came in. How do you manage to make your songs sound both sad and hopeful at the same time?
Oh.
Preguntas ahí, ¿cómo haces para que tus canciones suenen al mismo tiempo tristes y esperanzadoras? Y dice, eso es algo que no sé, ¿no?
I don't know. Do they feel sad? My goodness. I don't know. I think it's about to be emotional. It's kind of, I think that state between the sad and the happiness and hopeful is the state that you are passionate and hopeful about something. You know, there's a bit of sadness about being passionate, and I definitely feel passionate about.
Claro, dice que hay un poco de tristeza en el hecho de sentir pasión por algo y esperanzador, ¿no? Y esperanza. Y dice, y dice que él, pues es una cuestión emocional, ¿no? Pero que él, pues tiene mucha pasión a la hora de hacer la música y puede quizás venir de ahí.
Why? I think the secret is to be delicate, and sometimes less is more. So that's at least that's a bit of my motto. I mean, I can go big in songs, really big, but I try to say the most with the least elements as possible. So
Yeah.
when that fragility of the least elements possible, kind of give that event. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that gives the slight, the very slight, passionate and passionate sadness or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think when it comes to music, there is of course the emotion that an artist is trying to infuse into it. But the wonderful thing about music is there's also the emotion that it elicits in other people, and they're not always one. You know, so you know, so obviously the person who submitted this question is going through a broad range of emotions when they're listening to your music. You know, and that may not necessarily.
Claro, está diciendo Discolando que efectivamente cuando una persona escucha música, pues tiene sus propios sentimientos y no tienen por qué ir uno a uno con los sentimientos del compositor de ese momento. Y piensa que la persona que escribió esa pregunta en ese momento pues estaba yendo por un torrente de emociones, ¿no? A la hora de hacer esa pregunta bueno, de cómo hacía para que sus canciones tuvieran tristeza y esperanza, ¿no?
Ring a bell to anyone. He's just here and then like, oh yeah, it was cool, but I was kind of what I always try is to never I really try hard to never come up with or reuse recipes that have been used, tested and true, or at least I avoid them. Or if I am requested to use some recipes, I try to reinvent them in a new way. And because if you give something people listen to something new and above all truthful from you, music has to be has to come from you. It cannot be something that you just have to do just to fill the agenda because you have to do this and that and that. Well, sometimes it has to be, but it's absolutely, I think for Star Citizen it will be a disaster if the music came out as just music that you heard. Oh yeah, I usually hear this in here and there and doesn't give you a.
Claro, está comentando de que piensa que la música debe salir de dentro, ¿no? Que a veces no, a veces es necesario, pues, hacer música para un tiempo determinado, en algunas situaciones, pero que sería un desastre si fuese así en Star Citizen, que simplemente la gente escuchase la canción, una música de Star Citizen y dijera, pues, otra música más, ¿no? Y ya está. O sea, que para él es importante que la música de Star Citizen, pues, le salga de adentro, ¿no?
That are more process based, like how you work.
All right.
When you're composing, what are you given? Like what do you begin with? Do you get guidelines or like a paragraph description? Do you how much is prescribed to you, and how much do you discover on your own?
Well, it depends on who I'm working with. Star Citizen had along its way some different audio directors, and also there is also the cinematic scene from the commercials, which also have directors, and directors have a completely different way of thinking about music from audio directors. So when I'm working with audio directors, they tend to be a bit more clinical in terms of, oh, I think it will work this thing and with this ingredient and this ingredient and this ingredient. So can you please try to make something with these ingredients, and came up with a nice dish for me to taste, which is kind of a challenge, and it's great, and I also enjoy it. But it's also always a challenge because you're kind of restricted to those ingredients. But you know, they have been working a lot with the team, and they speak with the art team, and they know best what works, because in the end of the.
Claro, está comentando de que, bueno, de que cómo es su trabajo, le preguntan a la hora de hacer el proceso si tiene algo, una prescripción o un conjunto de cosas, ¿no? Un planning o qué cosas va descubriendo por sí mismo a lo largo, a la medida que se aventura en la música, ¿no? Entonces dice que realmente que cuando él trabaja para Star Citizen, pues hay eh, directores de audio, y los directores de audio suelen ser personas más clínicas a la hora de hacer las peticiones para la música, en plan de necesito este ingrediente, este ingrediente, este ingrediente, y con esto quiero que me compongas algo para pues un plato que sea bueno para digerir para mí, ¿no? ¿Qué me puedes ofrecer con esto? Entonces dice que para él como es que es un reto, eh, siempre es un reto, ¿no? El hacer una música de lo que es, pues, en un determinado, con unas determinadas opciones, ¿no? Que le ofrecen. Y al final es un poco parecido a lo que hacen con los artistas, ¿no? De concepto y demás. Al final le dan unas indicaciones para acotar el rumbo que quieren que lleve la música. Y dice que, bueno, que es algo bueno también el hecho de trabajar así, y habla de la buena relación que tiene, em, que tiene una buena relación con el equipo y demás, ¿no?
Self-imposed challenge, but I felt it really made sense because it was a commercial on a ship that had a kind of a Star Wars vibe into it. So it just made sense. I didn't want it to sound like Star Wars because so I literally tried to avoid the trumpet staccatos, for example, those kind of ingredients that really speak loudly Star Wars, you know. So because so that people don't think it means oh this is Star Wars something like that or something like that. I would definitely it's a wonderful device that creates tension, but it really became really linked with Star Wars. So that's those are depending on the person. When I work with Chris Roberts, it's pretty much what it's different. I really like it. Really like it. He's the way he works is more like he gives me also the feelings he wants, like a director, because he's a director after all. But he also gives me some cool stuff, which is some, oh, I would love if we could feel like Out of Africa from John Barry mixed with whatever from Hans Zimmer or whatever from Jablonski or whatever from, you know, kind of film scoring. He wants a mix of 2 or 3 movies together, which is not ingredient. It's a complex group of ingredients, and you kind of puzzle game and see which ingredients from each of them kind of come together and work well and serve the purpose of what he wants. And so it's also very cool.
Dice que cuando trabaja con Chris Roberts, que también le gusta, pero que tiene una forma un poco diferente, pero aún así pidiendo ciertos sentimientos en la música, pues al fin y al cabo es un director también. Y dice pues que es curioso porque dice que le pide pues como esencias de una película mezclada con otra y con varios ingredientes. Dice que es como un puzzle que tiene que construir, ¿no? Y a partir de partes muy complejas, ¿no? Dice que le gusta trabajar con él.
In a very simple way, what I always try to bring stars into, of course, it always depends on the people who are in charge and what they want. So remember that the composer is not free to do whatever he wants in a project or any project at all. He has a hierarchy of people that need to be say okay, so we move on to the next phase. But what I feel like Star Citizen is the most is space for me. I've been more and more focused on working on locations that are planetary based, but space itself is orchestral. That's what my initial goal was, and I still hope that we can push it into more and more orchestral, because I think space is eternal, is grand, and I really believe that when I'm in space, I want to hear
Está comentando también que un compositor cuando trabaja bueno, en Star Citizen o cualquier proyecto tiene unas acotaciones determinadas, una jerarquía por encima que le pide ciertas cosas, ¿no? En el caso del espacio, considera que el espacio debe ser algo relacionado con la orquesta, porque es eterno, es grandioso.
When you're in locations, I think that's the opposite. So I try to bring in much more hybrid and much more with more alien elements to the orchestra in, because you have the culture of the place mixed with the space from the orchestra, sort of like that. So as if there was...
Claro, dice que cuando eh, compone sobre localizaciones, trata de hacer una especie bueno, trata de ser algo más híbrido, pues dice que es un cóctel de diferentes elementos y que tiene que ver pues con lo que es la orquesta del espacio, pero también al mismo tiempo la mezcla de la cultura del lugar, ¿no?
It really becomes evident. Of course, there will be synths and some hybrid cues because of out of diversity. But in general, that you feel that when you're in space, there is an orchestra going with you. That feels, for example, like ET. Like it feels. I like when ambient music feels a bit more traditional or a bit more contained. Maybe that's where you get the sad/hopeful feeling, because that's what we feel from the 80s. But once we go into more action, it really goes into a very modern action score that we'll hear from a big budget modern movie like Transformers or
Claro, está comentando de que una de las cosas por la que puede que se sienta esa tristeza y luego esa esperanza es que cuando estamos en el espacio pues tenemos esa orquesta con toques de los 80 y luego cuando entramos en batalla o demás pues hay esa música más de acción más moderna, como puede ser películas de Transformers, demás.
in the system that we are working on right now, with most locations, it should feel more orchestral. That's what I feel.
Now, more process questions here. How far ahead do you work? You just mentioned Pyro. Are you composing stuff for Pyro right now, or does that come later? Like, where in the overall process do you come at? Traditionally, in video games, audio is very downstream. I'm talking about all audio. Not just the music, the sound effects, because they're waiting for art to finish their stuff and environment to finish their stuff, because they want to see all the pieces, and then audio is that thing, that fabric, that thread that ties all those pieces together. So it de facto ends up being very downstream. Is that the same with the music?
Yeah, it's mostly the same with the music. When I get to make the music, it's pretty much, well, sometimes less, sometimes more, but no, usually it's pretty much already 80-90% done, basically. So,
Claro, está comentando de que cuán allá va su trabajo, ¿no? En cuanto a futuro en el juego, ¿no? Y dice que cuando él trabaja en su música, en el 80-90% de lo que es el trabajo sobre el proyecto que tiene que realizar la música, pues está realizado, ¿no? Para inspirar, bueno, pues para relacionar su música con lo que es los entornos, localizaciones, demás, lunas.
cool that it's very cool and very unique that each moon will have, at least I've been scoring a lot of moons, that it will have their own score, and which I think it's well, they was done with a lot of heart, each of them. So I think the visit to each moon is not just because of the sake of seeing the graphics. Hopefully, it's also because you want to hear what the music score is there. I hope, at least.
So along with that question, one of the most common questions that came in that thread, it came multiple times, was about composing music for the different alien races. Now, I'm going to say it's probably the same thing. If we're not finished with Pyro is not.
Está comentando de que en Pyro, pues, bueno, que él espera poder hacer música para las diferentes lunas y que vayas a visitar la luna, no solo... O sea, que espera que también vayas a visitar la luna para escuchar la música, ¿no? Que va con la luna en el futuro. Y cuando...
Mass. I can't wait to know what happens to Mass. My goodness, I can't wait.
I know what happens.
We have to make. Oh, shit, no, sorry.
There are 6 people who know. I can tell you after the show if you want. I can tell you after the show.
Can't wait. I can't. No, don't tell me. Okay, you will have to tell me.
I'll ask you if you want to know again after the show.
Yeah, but I can't wait. So, but there's a glimpse. Also, Jeff Zanelli did a great job on a commercial for a ship for an alien ship. Oh, what was the name? Jesus Christ! No, I'm nervous. I'm live. I'm nervous, so that's why I'm
trying to think which one
things.
Jeff did. Was it the Banu? It wasn't the Banu Defender.
Yeah, the Banu. Yeah, okay. The Banu word, which is curious because it was also Banu. I think it will be very interesting that in the end it will be a mash of both. I think it will be a mash of both me and Jeff's work that would define. Sometimes things just come along the way, The definition I had from Star Citizen in the start is a bit different than now because it's much larger the game. The planets are really much richer than I ever thought they would ever be. I mean, who would ever think an hardcore planet would ever exist in a game? My goodness. I certainly didn't expect that. Not even the planet tech I would expect, but certainly not a planet like Arkham. So because I remember initially I thought the location would have a kind of a scope which would be much more minimal compared to space. But then when you see Arkham, you say, oh, holy moly, this is wonderful. I mean, I love space, but this is also astronomically beautiful. So it needs to have a grand music also. Also will depend on I really love the design from Banu and from all the alien races. I think the team did a wonderful design. So it's really inspiring, and I like what came out by a bit of without thinking too much on the reunion trailer. The woodwinds, very subtle with some synth. I liked it, but I don't know if it will stick. I mean, remember the company has many people and many very good thinking people. So
and
I mean, it's
ideas
not
evolve
just
over
me
time.
and ideas. So it's not just me. I mean, I'm just one guy having ideas. There are so many good ideas, and I take them to my advantage. That's why I say it's not fair sometimes to take credit, because I mean, sometimes from a simple conversation, someone will say, "Oh, I really love this kind of music for this," and then I see it. Oh, this is great. That's it. That's what I've got to do. That's what needs to be done. Sorry.
Okay.
So,
for those who have maybe joined the project in the last 2, 3, 4 years, you don't know, Jeff Zanelli is the composer for Squadron 42, our single player.
Claro, están comentando también que hay músicas como, por ejemplo, para la Banu Defender, que la hizo Josh Zanelli, que le gustó mucho y que le gusta la idea de que haya un mix de composiciones de él y de Josh Zanelli, y que también hay mucha más gente trabajando en Star Citizen que tiene diferentes ideas y que a veces no ve justo, ¿no? O sea, por eso que no ve justo el hecho de que siempre se le dé todo el crédito de lo que es la música de Star Citizen. Pues muchas veces simplemente con una conversación con el equipo, pues alguien ve una ubicación, una localización y le da una idea y dice, o piensa una idea, me gustaría que esto fuese de esta manera y tal, y dice Pedro, pues esto es lo que tengo que hacer, efectivamente, tal. Entonces... que dice que Cloud Imperium Games es una empresa muy grande y tal. Y hablaba también sobre, la pregunta sobre música de razas alien y demás, y qué pasa con las razas alien. Ha dicho Discolando que hay solo 6 personas, 6 personas que saben del tema realmente, de los alien. Y que dice Discolando que luego después, si eso le dice a Pedro quiénes son esas personas. Y, Y luego también el hecho de que cuando empezó todo el tema de Hardcore, toda la movida de Hardcore, que él no se imaginaba, o sea, que este juego es mucho más rico de lo que él pensaba o mucho más grande de lo que él hubiese imaginado en ningún momento. Dice, ¿quién se hubiese imaginado un planeta como Hardcore en un videojuego, ¿no? Es espectacular, ¿no? Y que cuando lo vio por primera vez realmente el planeta para hacer la música, que se quedó totalmente sorprendido diciendo: "Oh, para esto hay que hacer una gran música, una gran banda sonora", ¿no?
Have large capacity. They're pretty much a 70% capacity are filled with libraries that are running contact that connect with Cubase. This is a bit of a nerd talk, but those who know what I'm speaking about, they are connected to contact, and contact connects to Cubase, and Cubase handles everything, not just contact, because they have a lot of synths. Also, I use just like Jeff has his own private orchestra library that is from Hans Zimmer. I also record in two private orchestras for myself, so which is good. Also, of course, we always prefer to use live musicians, and I always intend to have everything recorded with live musicians, but sometimes because of deadlines or etc., it's not always possible. So to get a bit more realism, even though I do own all commercial libraries that exist, basically almost everything that exists, and they have a lot of strengths, and I use them. I use every single one can he think about. I mean, so many: Spitfire, Orchestra Tools, Vienna, Cine Samples, ATO. I mean, there are so many good. I'm just speaking about the orchestral part,
Right.
But I also recorded my stuff, and they sound really great. Was done by the guy who now runs Performance Samples, which is
Bueno, está hablando de qué herramientas utiliza para componer y demás. Dice que utiliza pues cantidad de software que hay en el mercado, o sea, todo lo que puede realmente. Y luego pues también le gusta trabajar mucho y con la orquesta, ¿no? Con la orquesta, tiene una orquesta para él, la contrata, ¿no? Y pues con músicos en directo para poder componer y demás, también, para ver cómo va sonando.
I either recorded myself or I purchased. And then there are synths, which are their hardware synth. I've got here a Moog one, which I use, Sub 37, which I really like. Those are the only hardware stuff that I use. I think those are, I mean, there are a couple better, good ones, but these are the ones that feel more appropriate to my workflow right now.
My family had a rule. My family of musicians, it goes, when in doubt, use a timpani.
Yeah. And
add timpani. Just
add
use
timpani.
the timpani.
Timpani is always great, and I actually did use the timpani with a lot of dramatic effect on a commercial. Commercial now was a reveal for the what was the name? The first time the Planet Tech was revealed.
Oh, from Pupil to Planet.
Pupil to Planet, yeah, Pupil to Planet. And I used that timpani where you did timpani just start the roll and was never ending until and the stars in love. I think that was pretty cool.
I actually have a story about that. I don't think I've ever told you about it. Sitting here, we're about a week before the live stream where we debuted the Pupil to Planet. It was not on the schedule. It was not part of the show. It was nothing. Chris walks up to my desk with a flash drive and says, "Plug this in." And I'm like, Chris has walked up to my desk like a small handful of times. It's like, okay, and I plug it in, and it's got a really rough video file on it. And he goes, play it. And it was a very early, very rough version of Pupil to Planet, probably the same rough that was sent to you to get a score on it. And I'm watching this. And he's just standing over my shoulder. He's just standing behind me as I'm watching this for the very first time, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm just like, and he goes, as after we're done, he goes, "Do you think we should put that in the live stream?" And I'm like, try to stop me. So we ended up completely restructuring the live stream about a week, maybe less than a week, right before.
I had to make the score for that.
It had to be a very rush, because it came in.
Yeah, it was very quick, but I think it was awesome.
Está comentando de que, bueno, la primera vez que pusieron el tema de del planeta, ¿no? De la gente en un planeta y demás, que Chris Roberts se acercó al escritorio al escritorio de Discolando, que solamente un puñado de veces Chris Roberts se ha acercado así, y se acercó con un pendrive y le dijo a Discolando, enchúfate esto y tal. Y lo estuvieron. Y mientras Keith Roberts estaba de brazos cruzados detrás y viendo cómo Discolando lo veía, dice. Pues Discolando se quedó flipando, ¿no? Cuando vio, pues efectivamente, todo el tema de una manera muy, bueno, muy ruda, ¿no? Lo que era el vídeo, o sea, en aquel entonces. Una preview, por así decirlo, ¿no? Y, pues Robert le preguntó a Discolando ¿crees que deberíamos poner esto en el live stream, ¿no? Y dice, dice Discolando, pues trata de detenerme, ¿no? Le dijo a Chris Roberts. Y bueno, que dice que probablemente es algo que le pasó el mismo vídeo, la misma sección que le pasó a Pedro, ¿no? Y a partir de ahí, pues tuvieron que hacer como una carrera, ¿no? Para componer y trabajar y reestructurar todo el stream de lo que era mostrarnos esa llegada al planeta y demás.
Very difficult question or a very easy one. Like, there's nothing in the middle here. How do you know when a track is finished?
Oh, I just know it. You know, that's
¿Cómo sabes que cuando una pista no está finalizada? Y dice, pues simplemente lo sé.
good thing about that's a good thing that every people I work with in a PU, they never set me a boundary. They just said, oh, around this, but then they never said, oh, it has to be this. Not 1 second more or not 30 seconds less or something. I think the music speech just like when you're saying the sentence. Well, I speak too much because I'm better at writing music, not doing this, as you probably guessed right now, because I'm not that interesting while I speak. But it's just in music, I actually know when to start and when to stop. Not in this case. So I speak too much. But when the music, it just
Dice que a la hora de comunicarse, que se comunica mejor mediante la música que hablando, que os podéis haber dado cuenta hasta ahora, ¿no? Dice que a la hora de hablar habla mucho. Eh, y dice que además una buena cosa que tiene para trabajar para Glow Imperium Games es que nadie del equipo nunca le ha dicho, pues tienes que hacerlo un segundo más corto o un segundo más largo, que tiene esa libertad, ¿no? Para hacer su parte, ¿no?
Abandoned. You know,
no,
it's like
no.
you just come to a point where you just kind of have to stop. But
No. That's probably my problem. I only stop when I really think there's only one track, one thing which is from Requiem in Castro. I think I missed. I still have to make a revision on that one because there are 2 moments there that I should have placed the harp playing and I never placed it. Just 2 moments. Well, I mean, in 45 minutes, there are 3 seconds of music that is missing a harp there. But apart from it, I hear it from start to end, and I say I have nothing to add. That's it. That's it.
You can always add more timpani. Let's look at some of the ones from the chat and stuff. Have you ever considered making a heavy metal track of space music for Star Citizen?
I play in a heavy metals band.
You play?
¿Alguna vez has considerado hacer una banda sonora en heavy metal para el juego? Y dice que estuvo en una banda de heavy metal en un momento.
3 years ago, asking me if I could help them making the orchestral arrangements for them. And I said,
Dice que fue hace 2 o 3 años de una banda de heavy metal que le preguntó si podía hacer los arreglos orquestales para ellos, ¿no?
Metal, and that's good metal. I love good metal.
Dice, le gusta el buen metal.
There's a new band right now which I really love hearing the singer, which is Spirit Box. It's freaking amazing. I just love. If you didn't hear her, the singer, you have to hear her. She's freaking amazing. Anyway, Sorry,
No,
but
the family band that I used to tour with
yeah.
is a apocalyptic end of the world goth metal band from
Oh,
back
really?
when. Yeah, it used to tour through Germany, and Germany was a big hotspot for us. Amsterdam, Sweden,
No.
basically Europe. We had a very small following in the United States. It's a lot harder to make your mark in the United States. In the European markets are much, think they're much more accepting and outgoing in searching out smaller groups and stuff like that. They're much more open to different influences and stuff. So
That's
for
cool.
years, we made our living in Europe. Even though we were all
Oh,
here from Southern California, it's like, okay, it's time to
that's
go tour.
cool.
We'd go to Europe. That's where we'd make our stuff.
Que está diciendo hablando sus aventuras de que estuvo en una banda también eh, de metal que estuvo haciendo un tour por Europa. Diciendo de que bueno que la gente de Europa pues que tiene un oído más tolerante o le gusta acepta más el tema de escuchar a grupos pequeños y que a pesar de que eran del sur de California, pues decidieron irse de tour a Europa, ¿no? A hacer eso y que Disco Orlando pues tocaba el piano, por lo visto. O no, o tocaba el piano o no, ahí me he equivocado, no estoy seguro, olvidar eso, no estoy 100% seguro.
And they said, okay, send me the songs. And well, the first impression I had, it was very unpolished,
Esto lo vamos a buscar luego, a ver qué cojones era eso, porque hay que buscarlo.
in each song, basically the band leader, let's say, he's very kind, and he did that because he has to do with his mom's death, and so he created a band. And the first track that I got was a letter from him to his mother in heaven. So it was kind of a metal, but a metal with not just nonsense metal or a metal just to say bad things. Not that I have anything about it, but against that. But
right.
it was a battle with some soul in it, and I really liked it. So I mixed it. It was terrible because the stems were not professionally recorded. It was just, but I really mixed it with all my plugins too, and I sent it to them without orchestra, just with synths and everything, and they really liked it because it sounded almost like already an album. And I've been working with them, and we aimed we yeah. Meanwhile, they invited me in because they enjoyed what I've been doing with them. When they invited me in to the band, I said I didn't want to perform. I just wanted to be the side guy that would arrange stuff. But they really insisted on me, so I'm a pianist. So I actually played synth and piano on stage for them. So it's not a big. It's not. I don't think metal should have a very big thing on piano. It's kind of I think at least not in this band. I think this band is cool with metal. I think it's good to be there to give a modern edge on the synths and the production to be modern. I think that's good stuff. So yeah, surprise. There was a videos of me playing with that band. At some point I will share them.
Dice que hay vídeos de Pedro tocando con la banda esta de metal. Ojo, esto hay que verlo.
Time to work with them for quite some time because I've been busy on Star Citizen because that's our priority, of course. But it's good.
Dice que lleva un tiempo sin trabajar con ellos porque su prioridad pues es Star Citizen.
Some of them it's cool because a drummer is not too musically educated. The bassist is now his son, which plays very well and is very musically educated. The singer is a COVID nurse, so she actually was voluntary to be on the first nurses to go against the COVID stuff here, which is it's amazing because at the time no one knew how I felt it is a big deal, but I thought it was even a bigger deal. Then I think this is kind of it's a big deal, but it felt worse on the news, if you know what I mean. It felt a bit worse, but it's a big deal. Anyway, she volunteered, which was amazing. So it's nice, and she's shy, etc. But when she gets on stage, she sings quite well, and yeah. So and one of the guitarists is knows how to read music and plays well. The other one just plays by ear. So it's kind of interesting to see how all those musicalities work. And I like to work in a team, so that's a good team. So
We are almost out of time. So
I speak too much. Sorry
no, no,
about.
no, no. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, my friend. Let's wrap it up with two Star Citizen related questions here. What was the most difficult track that you remember working on?
¿Cuál es
The one that
la pista
eluded you,
la pista más difícil que recuerdas en la que trabajaste?
biggest struggle for you?
The biggest struggle was with Chris Roberts on the track for the Mustang commercial. That was the hardest one. I did.
El atorado más grande que tuvo así a la hora de trabajar fue con Chris Roberts a la hora de hacer el comercial de la Mustang.
Them were complete reworks. Super hard to nail it. I think one of the versions of the song is that song that many people nowadays like on Star Citizen is basically was just then used on the South by Southwest trailer. Mm-hmm. The first song, but that was actually initially made for Mustang. But also I really love Mustang because Mustang has a really great line. The narrative is wonderful. I don't know who wrote that, but it was wonderful. I think that's basically I felt it was Chris' mindset that was written there. Because if you basically saying if you dream small, you'll never get anywhere, and if you stay out, go outside your limits, maybe you can do something special. And it's kind of it's a commercial that actually describes what Star Citizen is, so it really felt special, and it was very special to Chris, and I think the score was quite nice in the end. I really liked it. It was me playing the piano, actually, that one, and it was just beautiful. I just loved it. That was the hardest one.
Which one came together the easiest? Which one was the...
Bueno, está comentando de que el comercio de la Mustang, pues, que tuvieron que hacer el rework completo y demás, y que la narrativa le pareció también importante de la marca, en el sentido de, bueno, pues, si te quedas en lo pequeño, pues siempre serás pequeño, tienes que salir ahí fuera para ser grande, ¿no? Y eso es un poco lo que dice la marca y lo que representa también Star Citizen. Así que dice que pues teniendo esas representaciones pues que fue complicado el hacerlo, y que de hecho pues en ese track él está tocando el piano.
Just many things midway because suddenly a bug is free and then they can explore this whole area that had a horrible bug, and because as you know demos are actually played live on set. So
some of us know very well.
Yeah, so it's very stressful. So sometimes it's like a few days before the show, they say, "Okay, Pedro, we have like 25 minutes of more music to do." Like, okay, I'll probably sleep 2 hours or 3 in the next 3 days, or something like that. But so it's like it's easy, but it's like because it has to be, not because it was naturally easy. It just has to be easy. But sometimes I did some cool stuff. I remember the music that people like from New Babbage was done on that timeline, just with a few hours.
Last question before we let you go, because we're in overtime already.
Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. I'm just letting people know.
Sorry,
sorry. You'll never have to apologize to me, Pedro.
Oh.
You'll never have to apologize to me. You send me tracks months before anybody else, so you never have to apologize to me. We talked about your hardest. We've talked about your easiest. What's your favorite? If you had to pick amongst your children, I know.
¿Cuál es tu track favorito? No me cago en la leche que se ha cortado el directo. Se ha cortado. Se ha cortado, chavales. La hostia. A la mierda. Hostia.
Hay dos bandos.
Los mato. Los mato. Los mato. Yo me los cargo, tío. O sea, puta publicidad, tío. Yo me los cargo, tío. Me los cargo. A estos de Twitch yo me los cargo, tío. Los deshago, tío.
I'm doing Star Citizen. That's why I love doing it. Is that you just go to work and come back to work, and you just create a. You become like a zombie. You know, there's like a huge city. The idea of having like a huge city with millions of people, and they almost never speak with each other because everyone just going to their work, doing their thing, they're coming back, going to sleep or taking care of kids. It's kind of a very, you live on small villages on and and also I remember thinking, oh my, that track when I was doing that, and I actually that's why I uploaded it to my YouTube at that moment, because I wanted to also I actually placed time lapses of traffic going by on busy cities, because that was inspiration, and I remember thinking sometimes you need to stop and look at Earth, etc. I don't want to get environmental here, but you know, kind of felt like, well, there's something that could go wrong if we sometime doesn't. And I accidentally, you know, 1 year later there was, you know, the pandemic that we know it. And anyway, but it was very meaningful because the music tells the story of the soul of a planet, if you will. Like there was a culture, and if everyone worked together, and so it could be something even bigger, something like that. So you know, kind of. I don't know. I'm not very good explaining my music.
It's just tiny themes, just small,
Just,
intimate
but it was
themes.
important to me. It was very important to me. Also, there was another track I have to say. Sorry to interrupt. There was another one that was very important to me, which I called it "Lullaby to KZB," which was actually there was a one of the backers on Star Citizen that he wrote on a tweet saying something like. Thank you for all the art. He thanks stars in general, but he mentioned music as well because it really make a difference. In the last 2 years, that his son of 2 years old had a problem in the liver and had to have a liver transplant, and he almost, I mean, it was very terrible stuff. And I actually reached out to him, and I said, hey, thank you so much. And he shared some photos of his son. I mean, there was, oh my goodness, just I thought about my children, and it really made some strong emotions inside me. So the next track I wrote was like a lullaby for his son to sometime hear, and a lullaby to his son Casey. So basically, that was it. And so it's very important to me because well, is actually on the game. It makes sense in the game because it's part of oh my goodness, now I just think I'm Casey and I'm forgetting the names. Oh, gosh,
Describe it.
Slip my. Sorry, it was a very polluted planet with a big structure, big structure.
Oh,
My goodness,
Lorville?
Lorville, of course, Lorville. I'm very sorry. This is, oh my goodness, Lorville. This is very bad. I shouldn't forget. But
Yeah.
you know, I just focus on sometimes when I'm just nervous to be thinking live. But on Lorville, and it's in the like that part where there are the fancy part of Lorville, where are all those displays of the family that runs there, and I thought that was the good place to place that track because the track is very sentimental, and I thought it's like you see something so beautiful in the middle of something that is very in a bad condition. Everyone lives in a bad condition on that planet, yet there's someone that lives in such a large life. It's kind of sad situation, like a sad counterpoint or something. It like a life, like a dad when looks at his children, at his child, and he's not bad, and his son, when you're healthy and your son isn't, it feels, wow, shouldn't be like this. It should be me or something. At least I think like that. I thought like that. And when it happened to my son, that I also had a small health trouble at some point. Was after I wrote this song. So that's one that's very special to me as well. And it starts in main theme that actually made it possible for me to be here, which also, but it's so obvious.
You have too many favorites, Pedro. I'm cutting you off. Too many favorites.
I know. Yeah, that's the best.
3 favorites are where I draw the line, man. All right. Pedro, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with us on Star Citizen Live. Folks,
Thank you so much
thanks
as
for
well.
watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you want to hear more about Pedro and even dive into the creation of some of those tracks he was talking about, we've got previous Star Citizen Lives, or I think it was even called Reverse the Verse Live. I think one was a happy hour live. We go through branding here like tissues. You can check that all out on YouTube. Just type in Pedro in our YouTube and Star Citizen. You can find them all. Maybe some folks in chat will link them if they have them. But we've done a number of shows where we dive in the actual creation, like the ArtCorp theme was a show we did once and stuff like that. So you can check that out. All right, thanks a lot. I'm Pedro.
Thank you very much.
No, I'm not Pedro. I'm Jared. That was Pedro.
I'm Pedro.
My first meeting was at 3 o'clock this morning, so I'm already ready for bed. I'll talk to you later, everybody. See you later. Bye.
Ahora os explico un poco lo que...
I am a professional.
I'm
for a
sorry.
living.
Os comento ahora lo que estaba diciendo ahí al final. Bueno, pues estaba comentando un poco, Pedro, ¿no? El tema de le preguntaron de cuál era su canción favorita, ¿no? Y al final acabó saliendo con 3, con el tema principal de Star Citizen y tal, que bueno, ya lo cortó discolando porque se nos iba de tiempo. Pero comentaba de que, bueno, de que en una ocasión a través de Twitter un backer pues felicitó a lo que es Star Citizen por el trabajo en la música que estaba haciendo y tal, y bueno, pues apareció un tema en el Twitter sobre su hijo que tenía que tener un trasplante de hígado y bueno, pues que luego Pedro pues habló con él, o sea, habló con él, ¿no? Y luego le compartió fotos de su hijo y demás, y él se sintió identificado como padre. Y a partir de ahí hizo una canción llamada Lullaby to Casey, que creo que es canción de cuna para Casey. Y es una música que incorporó en la sala en la que se ve, bueno, en la zona en la que se ve a la familia Harston dentro de lo que es Lorville, pues haciendo, o sea, apelando por el contraste, ¿no? De lo que es el hecho de una ciudad, en un lugar que está todo mal, cuando pues el contraste que hay entre ese bienestar, ¿no? de lo que es la zona de la familia Harston comparado con las malas condiciones que hay en las afueras de la ciudad, ¿no? Que es algo parecido a lo que es el sentimiento que él tuvo como o sea, que se identificó, ¿no? Con el padre de Casey, ¿no? Del niño este que le tuvieron que hacer el trasplante de hígado, diciéndole que con la idea, ¿no? En la cabeza de que él pensando que si estuviera en esa situación, ¿no? Metiéndose en el... Pues que como que había una cosa que estaba mal, ¿no? Que no tenía sentido que su hijo estuviera mal y él estuviera bien, que él como padre preferiría que él estuviera mal y su hijo bien. Y entonces esa sensación, ese sentimiento es lo que trato de plasmar en esa canción, en Lullaby de to Casey, que Casey pues es el, el chaval, ¿no? Que tuvo este tema, este problema y tal. Y bueno, como veis, pues Pedro es una persona bastante... Es una persona muy emocional, ¿no? O sea, muy emocional y desde la experiencia que yo tengo con él, hablando con él, eh, me gusta mucho o sea, podría deciros que es una persona prudente, pero al mismo tiempo que es prudente, tampoco tiene miedo a implicarse. Eh, y, y es súper respetuoso y, y siempre... o sea, muchas veces lo vemos decir, ¿no? A Pedro que él mismo dice, no, mm, no creo que sea tan increíble en esto, no creo que sea tan bueno en esto, no creo que tal. Eh, Cuando habla de su música sí agradece, pero, pero a él como persona como que me da la sensación, ¿no? De que trata siempre de recordarse de que por mucho que te conozcan o por mucho que tal, ¿no? Esto es conclusión mía, pero es una manera de recordarse de que tiene que tener los pies en la tierra, ¿no? En el sentido de que él sigue siendo una persona como los demás y que, y que entiendo desde mi punto de vista que eso es parte de su naturaleza, el hecho de ser así, y que además para hacer la música que él hace quizás no pudiera ser de otra manera, ¿no? El hecho de recordar quién es y dónde viene con esas palabras yo creo que es lo que siempre se recuerda a sí mismo de forma inconsciente y, y que al final eso pues también logra pues el sentar las bases para la música que él hace. En parte, ¿no? Yo creo que viene de ahí el rollo. Y realmente, pues, yo creo que se lo dije en su momento y se lo volvería a decir sin ningún problema. Y se lo dije ahí en plan coña, ¿no? Pero bueno, también en plan en serio dice, bueno, le dije, no, no eres ni John Williams ni Hans Zimmer, pero sí, así que vas por buen camino, ¿no? Y sí, la verdad es que se lo ocurra mogollón. ¿Cuántas canciones, música de fondo tiene Star Citizen actualmente? Pues unas cuantas, tiene un puñado. Sobre 10 o 12 podría ser, no sé, sobre 10 o 12 más o menos. Yo creo que tiene un montón, ¿eh? Tiene un montón. Eh, para el tema de la música Para el tema de la música de D, vamos a ver. A ver si la encuentro por aquí. Eh, Darme un segundito. Mira, si quieres escuchar música de Pedro, lo lo que mejor podéis hacer es iros aquí y en su canal de YouTube, ¿vale? Tenéis un montón de música de Star Citizen, o sea, incluso cosas que ha hecho. Algunas cosas que ha hecho y tal. O sea, detalles que nos han contado aquí en la entrevista de, por ejemplo, que él era jugador competitivo de StarCraft. Jugó en un equipo competitivo y demás, ¿no? Y bueno, pues por aquí se le puede ver haciendo cositas y tal. Ahí le puedes echar un vistazo. Y no sé, debe haber sobre 10 o 12. 10 o 12 por ahí. De hecho... a ver, un momentito. Tiene que estar por aquí. A ver si podemos encontrar...